This week we're checking out some retro games at AVCon with the team from Retrospekt. Angelo catches up with special guest Jen Taylor, whose resume covers everything from Mario's Princess Peach to Left 4 Dead's Zoe to Halo's Cortana. And bringing it back home, we sit down with veteran developer Philip Mays to chat a bit about the Adelaide gaming scene. This is Player Attack. Hi, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this week the big news is that former Valve writer Mark Laidlaw has published a story or two on his website. Now, plenty of people publish plenty of stories each week, but this one captured the world's attention because even though Laidlaw himself claims it's simply fan fiction, it appears to be a summary of what Half-Life 2 Episode 3, or even Half-Life 3, really could have been. Telling the story of Gertie Fremont and Alex Vaughnt, the story, titled Episode 3, picks up 18 months after the events of Episode 2, and it doesn't take much squinting or gender flipping to see what it's hinting at. Laidlaw himself has not confirmed the story is genuine or anything other than one person's thoughts. He acknowledges there were also lots of unproduced scripts for Alien. Fans, on the other hand, have taken his word as gospel and are devastated that the game was never made, to the point where they're bombarding Dota 2 with negative reviews, accusing it of killing Half-Life 3 because Valve concentrated on that one instead of the new game. In a not unrelated topic though, it seems like there might be a challenger stepping up to kill Dota 2. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds has ticked off another milestone, now the game with the second highest peak player count in Steam history. CSGO set a seemingly rock-solid record of 850,000 in April 2016, but the Battle Royale has eclipsed it easily, racking up 862,000 late last month. The next game in its sights, you guessed it, Dota 2 with 1.2 million. And in case you think this is an impossible goal, please note that on a daily basis, more people these days are playing Battlegrounds. Moving right along, and Bethesda has revealed release dates for all three of its big-name VR projects, and each one will be on shelves before Christmas. If everything goes to plan, you'll be able to play The Elder Scrolls Skyrim VR on PlayStation VR from November 17, Doom VFR on HTC Vive and PlayStation VR from December 1, and Fallout 4 VR is headed exclusively to the HTC Vive from December 12. And no, there are no plans to bring any Bethesda games to any Oculus platform for lawsuit-related reasons. Similarly, there are no plans for campaign-based DLC for Doom at this stage, with id Software's Marty Stratton confirming that while it's something plenty of people are asking for, it just isn't on the table right now. There are, however, plans for more people to play Brink, so it's now free to play on Steam. Another thing we would like to know more about is a Help Wanted ad from Blizzard, which seems to call for a senior producer for a remastered version of Diablo 2. The job description is looking for someone whose idea of clickbait is a pillar of amber light reaching towards the heavens. Someone who remembers the paradigm shift that came with the 1.10 patch for Diablo 2. Someone who has a spreadsheet comparing the necromancer between Diablo 2 and 3, and someone who thinks leaders should have some dirt under their fingernails. With Diablo 4 seemingly still a long way off despite almost constant teasers, it could be time for dungeon crawlers to look back rather than forward.
Together, we have battled through history. Now, a new age is upon us.
Yes, finally, Age of Empires 4 is happening. It's being developed by Relic and published by Microsoft, and it will be a Windows 10 exclusive. If you're living in the past, don't panic. Age of Empires 3 will be re-released, while Age of Empires 2 will be re-released, both as definitive editions with updated visuals. In other big Microsoft news, it has been revealed that the Xbox One X is the fastest selling Xbox pre-order ever in the lead up to the November 7 launch. Head of Marketing, Aaron Greenberg, has also gone on the record mumbling something about talking to Sony about crossplay, and it sounds like we have Minecraft to thank for it, with both teams wanting to unite the community. And while Microsoft has stopped short of outright apologising, the publisher has admitted that announcing Crackdown 3 a full 4 years before the game's release was a bit of a mistake. Shannon Loftus, General Manager for Microsoft Studios Publishing, confesses that the team probably announced Crackdown too early when it hit the stage at E3 2014. The game, which is a collaborative effort between 3 studios, was originally planned for a late 2016 launch, but it's just been delayed to 2018 because, you guessed it, the developers need more time to make sure the finished product is the one Crackdown fans deserve. And finally this week, Biomutant is an all-new action RPG in development at Swedish studio Experiment 101. More details are obviously on the way, but we are intrigued. You play as an adorably furry little creature, but as the game progresses, you'll be able to change up your looks and abilities with more than a handful of mutations and bionic prosthetics. We're promised a dynamic melee system that some have likened to Devil May Cry and Bayonetta, wrapped up in the sort of open world that you might expect from the new studio created by a team who's worked on Just Cause and Mad Max. For more information on any of these stories or to keep up to date with the latest gaming news, head to playerattack.com. But for now, stick around, we've got plenty more still to come.
Well, let's start off with the beginning of Mighty Kingdom though. So how did that come about? How did it go from being something that was so small, where you, as you were saying, focusing on like apps and things like that, to then making the leap to doing games and then becoming such a huge success?
I always find that I don't tend to do things unless I put myself in a position where I can't fail. And so to pivot from being an app developer to a games developer, I decided that we had to release a dozen games in a year. Mm-hmm. And so I basically completely re-architected the company around very rapidly building prototypes and getting them to market. Yep. The quickest we managed to do that is I came into the studio and I pitched a cricket game to one of our devs, and we had it in the store 5 weeks later. So that was about as fast as we could turn ideas around. They all sucked, they all failed in very many different ways. But it got people into a different sort of mindset about how we can get decisions made quickly and just to prove that we can create an engaging product. The next thing I sort of realised, we were around about, say, 6 to 8 people at that stage. And we had sort of service work coming in that was sort of paying the bills. But I thought, okay, to make the leap to that next level, to win those bigger clients, I need to sort of take a step back from the day-to-day running of things, and I need to hire someone to look after that part of the business. And to do that, I knew who I wanted to hire. His name was Dan Thorsand. I worked with him. He worked at Ratbag. I worked with him at Chrome. Mm-hmm. To afford him, I needed to get more work. To get myself to go out and find that work, I actually just went out and hired 4 new developers so that I had to find work for them, because I knew if I couldn't pay them, then the whole company was going to fail. So then that forced me to go out and find the work to be able to pay for the people to be able to hire Dan. So I just put all my eggs in that basket, or pushed all those chips in, and just forced myself to make a change.
Fair enough. Well, so how do you find new recruits for things like that? Because like the educational scene in Adelaide, educational services for software development and games and things like that, it isn't huge, but it's decent. It's pretty good. There are a solid amount of people that come through there. Again, a lot of them find themselves moving to places like Melbourne or things like that. But how does Mighty Kingdom go about finding these new talent in that case?
There's actually a lot of people around who were working in the games industry that are now either underemployed or who have been employed in other industries. So for the first thing we do is we look at that as a talent pool, and see if we can sort of re-engage those people back into the games industry. We also have a very strong connection to all the main training institutes, universities, AIE, and places like that. And we keep an eye on the graduates from there, and we'll pick the best to come and do work experience with us. Mm-hmm. And from there, I think every single person who's ever done work experience with us has ended up being a hire. Mm-hmm. And so we have a very strong process around how we bring juniors into the organisation and train them up very quickly to be very effective. Mm-hmm. We try and operate in a structure where people are given a lot of autonomy and control in their roles. So that means that people who show leadership or show expertise can move very quickly within the organisation. There's no sort of junior, mid-senior sort of barriers. Yep. People have stepped up very, very quickly. Like the big project, which I can't announce, we flew 3 people over to Europe to kick off that project. And one of them was started with us as a junior who had been through work experience at 6 Foot Kid. And within 3 years, he's now leading a multi, I won't say the budget, but a very large project that we have for this client. So, you know, I don't tend to look at people and worry too much about their skills and expertise, because I know that we can make someone a better programmer. I know once they're in our system, you know, our artists are very good at training other artists and so forth. So I look for people who have the right attitude, the right approach to work, the right way of working within an organisation and understanding what their value is and how they can sort of maximise that. And so it takes a very particular type of person, but when you find them, we find that they thrive really, really well. And I've had no trouble finding those people in Adelaide. I think we churn out a lot of really, really talented people. And my issue is I can't employ all of them, right? I want to try and get as many as we can.
Yeah.
So we do bring people in, you know, from interstate or people who have expertise that we can't find within Adelaide, but very rarely we find that we can grow that talent very, very effectively.
Oh, that's excellent. Well, that's completely different to the way that the job outlook is right now for pretty much most industries. You know how people or places advertise for new positions and things, and they need like 2 or 3 years experience, and then all these other sets of skills and stuff like that. But then you're mentioning here how, you know, you help foster sort of entry-level positions and then help them grow, and as you say, you train them up to fill these roles that you need and things. So it's a very encouraging way of going about it, I think.
I think a lot of times as well, if you put a barrier on a job application, if you say you need to have such experience or whatever, there are 2 types of reactions to that. Some people will be like, okay, that's not me, I can't do that. Yep. Other people will be like, I wonder if I can get away with, you know, like,
yeah.
So there's how you approach it. I think a lot of those things are just designed to weed out a lot of tire kickers, and we do get a lot of, the games industry attracts a lot of people who like it because they think you get to sit around and play games all day.
That's right.
And so we've got to make sure we get past those people into the people who are actually really
yep.
Motivated to do something really exciting. So I don't know, I'm never too concerned about degrees and things like that. I don't have a degree. I dropped out of uni after 1 year, so I can't turn around and say to somebody, you have to have a degree to work here, when I don't have one myself. So I just look at the individual, I look at what motivates them, what excites them, whether there's something that we can provide to them that allow them to grow.
Sure.
And, you know, not everyone is always aligned, like the way we work and the things we work on, not everyone's into that, and that's fine. Like, but the people who do take up that, you know, take that responsibility and take that control, they can do great things.
Retrospekt started 6 or 7 years ago. Our friend Dave, who is our illustrious founder, started off as a Tumblr blog. It's gone through a few iterations, mostly his thoughts on video games. But then we started to get a bigger team, doing stuff at AVCon, conventions. We've got the Retro Museum now. We've done this sort of thing at PAX as well. Also run panels on retro gaming and the culture around it as well.
Let me tell them with a rap, let me tell them with a rap. All my retro game fans, this is where it's at. Interviews, reviews, news and haikus. So let's show love wherever they come through. Got mad respect for Retrospekt. Tune in to Joypad, I know you'll enjoy that. Plus we'll be hitting you with super game trivia. My game was
So the Retro Museum started off as an idea at AVCon about 6 years ago, where we had half a dozen consoles, and we thought that was kind of a cool thing and lots of people liked it. And it's kind of gotten bigger to the extent now where we have roughly 30 or 40 consoles, 4 arcade machines, running tournaments, getting people involved in the community as well, and yeah, it gives us a chance to show people where gaming started rather than just the boring, a little bit more, I guess, bland PC and newer console stuff, even though we all love that kind of stuff. Like to look back to our roots, and this feels a bit more pure to us. So we're not just old school gamers, but it's kind of where our passion lies.
let's see them, we're at AVCon, Retro Game Museum. Come check the Retrospekt podcast. Hear us nerd out about games of the past. Throw your hands in the air, play a song like a singer. Our players at where are our players? Make some noise for Retrospekt. We take it to another level and we always keep it retro. Mad respect.
This year around, we've got Space Duel, which is the arcade machine over there. It's a vector graphics game. It's a spiritual sequel to Asteroids. It's amazing, and as far as I know, there's only a few of them in Australia, so we're lucky to get that. Obviously, Mortal Kombat and Turtles, everyone loves that. We've got a few sort of hidden gems that were never released in Australia, like the 3DO, the Atari Jaguar, which even though it's a complete failure of a console, I love it. We got Pong down there on the old school TV. So yeah, we've kind of show people not just the common stuff. Of course, we've got all of Nintendo and Sega's old consoles, but we love the kind of more esoteric, weird stuff that people just don't see.
Where my players at? Where are my players? Make some noise for Retrospekt. We take it to another level, my friend. Australia represents.
We've had to think on our feet since the doors opened yesterday morning. AV cords broke, controllers broke, TVs won't tune into RF, stuff that kids these days have no idea about. Things always go wrong, but we take it in our stride. It's all part of the fun and challenge. To be fair though, a lot of the old machines are really, they're built like tanks, absolute beasts. So most of them, the hardware still is working perfectly even 35 years later.
Where are my players? Make some noise for Retrospekt. We take it to another level, my friend. Australia represents.
I think Australia, being a power region, is really in a funny phase at the moment. Retro game collecting has become a bit of a, not a fad so much, but people are really interested in it. I guess reliving their childhoods and stuff like that. I get quite disheartened with the price gouging that tends to occur. And even if it's something I really would like, I've got my upper limits. And I suggest that people, if they want to get into it, do have a look around. Don't necessarily believe eBay. Have a look at the various buy-sell groups on Facebook. Check Gumtree. Try and get a bit of a picture about it, because if you just jump at the first thing that you see that you like, you may pay a bit over and above what you probably should. So just try and get a feel for the lay of the land. There's a bunch of retro gaming sites in Australia, us obviously, but quite a few based in Melbourne. We've done some work with at PAX over the last few years, and get to know the guys. Some of us come across as a bit cynical with the current state of the market, but we are genuinely approachable and can give you, we're not the be all and end all, but we can give a bit of advice on whether something is worth it or not. Also would suggest looking overseas as well. Japan and the US, the prices are generally much cheaper. Unfortunately, shipping's a bit of a cost, but if you do what I end up doing, rather than pay a certain amount of shipping for one item, pay the same amount for a bunch of items as well. So yeah, get a bit of a feel for the difference in regions in terms of prices as well, because it can end up being more cost effective to buy something from overseas with the games and shipping, and it'll still be half the price of here.
Players at where are my players? Make some noise for Retrospekt. We take it to another level and we always keep it retro. Mad respect.
The website was on hiatus for almost a year. Got that up and running again recently. We're working towards getting at least one article up every day, but it's not just written articles. We're doing video stuff. We've got our own fun little segments. Mike from Retrospekt does video game haikus. We're also, a lot of us are into music. We run music and gaming events as well. So there'll be some music related things coming up. The site is just generally building momentum again, so it's going to be something not just to look at the Facebook page for the various news updates we post. It'd be worth actually checking out the site to see how it evolves. Paul from Retrospekt runs a video game trivia show. We're in the process of getting a lot of the archives of that up, so you'll be able to look at those videos as well. So it's the site's kind of following our own interests in music, gaming trivia and stuff like that. And yeah, generally there hopefully will be some good reads and good videos and good things to listen to over the next few months and beyond.
I have a very warm place in my heart for Adelaide, because I was here 10 years ago. I rehearsed a play here, and I even named my dog Adelaide. Oh, really? Yep.
Halo is the story of a very clever AI who saves the galaxy with the help of her strong but silent sidekick.
Hey everyone, I'm Angelo, and I'm here with Jen Taylor, famous as the voice of Cortana and Once Upon a Time Princess Peach as well.
That's true, and Toad.
Oh, and Toad, really?
Yeah.
Oh, how many games did you do with Toad?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to look it up online.
How much has voice acting changed in the Halo games for you? You know, considering that you think about how voice acting was just plain voice acting back in the day, and now we've got things like performance capture, and you know, we know that you and Steve Downes hadn't actually really met until Halo 4. So how has that sort of changed for you as a voice actress?
Well, you just described everything that the change that it made. Yeah, no, it used to be. And still, for many games, you go in and you spend one 4-hour session working on a game, and then you walk out and you're done. And now it's become a much bigger experience for the actors as well. You spend a lot more time with the characters. When you're doing motion capture, when you're doing performance capture, it becomes spread out time-wise. Also, it takes a lot longer to film everything. So you spend a lot more time with the characters. So it becomes different in that way. And it has become different for me because for Halo 4, I did the performance capture for Dr. Halsey for Spartan Ops, which was something they added on. And for Halo 5, I did the the performance capture for both Cortana and Dr. Halsey. So I'm spending a lot more time with the characters. I'm also having to physically embody them, so it's become very different.
It took you long enough.
Knowing that you've already done stage plays and things like that, I'd imagine those two things kind of complement each other.
They really do. Theater actors, I think, I was just saying this, theater actors are the wave of performance capture. Because it's a technical, you have to be very technical, and yet you have to create a big emotional life, and so you have both those skills technically as a theater actor. Not that other people don't. I think, film people do as well. But you also have to imagine everything because you don't get it. You don't have a big budget. You don't see it. So, yeah, I spent a lot of time. Theater was what got me into acting. So theater is my love, my first love.
Nav, as soon as we know we're airtight, I want a course laid into Caranay Station. Com, prepare a warning beacon.
I will not allow you to leave this planet!
Cortana.
I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to do that.
Commander Lasky. Pursuant to Article 55 of UNSC Regulation 12-14572, I'm ordering you to remove that AI's data chip and retire it for final dispensation.
I don't want to. You don't want me to.
Remove the chip now, Commander.
Going back to Cortana, and then so the character's obviously changed a lot over the years, like drastically, So how much input do you have in shaping the character of Cortana, considering that it's gone from one studio to another as well?
I don't know how much input I have as far as, I don't have much control over what she does. Yeah. I just have control over how I represent her. That is, I think, the biggest influence I have over it.
So there haven't been any moments where you're like, oh, I don't think she would do this. I think she would kind of react or speak in this way or something like that?
No, because as an actor, you say yes. As an actor, somebody gives you something and you say, yes, I can do that. Yes, I will make that work. Yes, yes, and yes. And hopefully, if it doesn't suit the character, even though you've tried it, they'll figure that out and they can say, actually, we shouldn't have asked her to do that. She was right. She worked really hard, but that didn't work. And generally, they figure that out without you doing that. If you say, no, I'm not going to say that line, I don't think she'd do that. You're not going to get the best reaction, I think, from the directors.
Cortana?
John, the reclamation is about to begin.
How does it feel then going from being a video game character in a very popular video game series, radically popular video game series, to now being the voice of basically an actual computer now, being Cortana that's embedded in Windows 10. So what's that like for you?
I don't, somebody said to me the other day that my voice was ubiquitous. And the thing is that I don't hear it very much. So I don't feel that way. It's not imposing or intimidating to me in that way. Like, oh God, I'm everywhere. The jobs are very different technically. So it feels like a completely different job to me. It is, you know, it is fascinating in a way that I've sort of become this character, you know, my voice has sort of become this character that has become real life. And to me, that's fascinating. But I don't feel, I'm not aware of it very much, frankly. It doesn't follow me around.
Okay, so there hasn't been a moment where you're just like, you know, on your computer, you know, doing some online shopping and you're just like, oh God, I'm talking to myself again, what's going on?
No, I actually turned it off on my computer, so.
Do you know Jen Taylor?
I can't get her voice out of my head.
And that's about it for this edition of Player Attack. Thanks for watching. Next week, we've got a review of surreal stick figure RPG West of Loathing, while Angelo looks at the history of video game ratings and censorship. In the meantime, you can catch us at playerattack.com. We're on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. And if you've got something you want to say, send us an email, mailbox@playerattack.com, or just hop on our forums. Also, if you want to support Player Attack, you can find us on Patreon and help us bring you the latest in gaming news, plus all these wonderful interviews and reviews from the world of video games. Till next week, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this is Player Attack.